In a world where electricity is so important, it's best to have the best laid plans with those who understand electricity. Stay tuned for this one, everybody. Welcome to the Your Little Castle Show. Yours truly, Cardinal Cowboy. I've had some of my mentors say I should be wearing the hat the whole time. That's what people identify with. They recognize this crazy Cardinal fan guy who has a little bit of a heart for philanthropic organizations. Philanthropy, is it the right way to say it? But Eric and I were just talking about Eric Wolff. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Got a bit of a heart for our furry little friends.
I do.
We'll talk about that too. We're going to put some good information up on the wall. First, I'll give a shout out to one of my favorite sponsors. I love all my sponsors, but with regard to furry little friends, Carroll House Furniture. I know, Brooke is a big advocate.
Yes, he is.
Spay and neuter, make sure to keep the animal population in control, but also is the owner with the sister of Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little house that very likely has some electrical work done in it. If you live in North America, pretty good chance.
Absolutely.
And so then you want to follow up with our friends here, Wolff Electrical Services. They will make sure that electricity gets done directly. I was kind of blown away. So we're going to pull up some of your reviews. It's all right. He's like, yeah, I think we're at a 4.9. He's back up to a 5 by average, because you do get that one person who says whatever, but he's still at a 5 because he got 700 some reviews. So way to go. That's impressive. Yeah, I've even had somebody never met with the person, decide they're going to write a review for me. Like, Google, is this fair? Try to get a hold of Google. Let me know how that works out. If you get that taken care of, tell me how you did it. But anyway, we like to see the businesses that do good work to help our community. And you guys are obviously exceptional in our little corner of the world here, St. Charles, St. Louis area. Tell me how far you extend to where you'll do work.
Currently, we're all the way out past Warrenton a little bit, all the way up north of Troy to Silex area, almost right to Hannibal.
Okay.
And then all the way down to the city. City is some of our preferred clients, and then all the way down to almost Eureka.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a pretty big area there. That's most of all of St. Louis. Do you do any work on the east side of the river?
We used to, but
yeah,
we used to. But I have a lot of preferred other electricians that I refer that out to, so it's a lot cheaper on them, so they can.
Yeah, and some of the rules are different with regard to.
Correct. Yeah, it's easier to take care of my client that way with the people I trust on the other side of the river.
Very good. Well, that's what we're looking for. So, what led you here? How did you get into the electrical world? What led you to become an electrician? That's one of those specialists that I'm like, you don't mess with electricity.
It sounds trivial, but back in the day, my grandfather had a train set, and I was always not high enough to see everything on the table, because I was always looking at everything underneath the table and trying to figure out how all this works. But as a young kid standing there with my dad, Grandpa was very tough. Don't touch, don't touch, don't touch, and it was always pulling stuff. So
curiosity killed the cat. Yeah. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. My dad was in the trains quite a bit too, and we had these giant boards, this big green board. All it was a piece of plywood, but he painted it green because that makes it look like grass, right? And then the train would run around there, but all the wires would run up. It would switch the little circuit, and it was low voltage, I guess is what you call that. But that was where you got your first introduction, and that created that curiosity.
It was, yeah. My dad finally built my own, and my dad worked a lot too. So I wanted to play with it now. So a lot of stuff I trial and error, but that's where a lot of that electrical knowledge and interest came in, because I was working with it.
That is very interesting, because I'm always curious, what is it that led people? I was forced into computers, everybody. My parents made me go to computer classes during the summer. But I did spawn my interest. They also knew that I had some interest in electronics, and I'll never forget what's the little football game? The little green, remember you go doot, 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 up and down. It was very untechy. Like you talk about how many pixels there are to make up a character. It was one pixel. It was the light. And then the football guys would come at you if you ran into them. And that's where my interest in electronics kind of started, and the computer stuff. But this electronics world has taken over. I mean, how important has electricity become I mean, it's vital. It's critical.
It is on almost every single thing we do. You don't realize it, but you have to have it. You know, as much as AI has taken over a lot of stuff and simplifying a lot of things, you still got to plug it in.
It's still got to have power, everybody. Yeah, they're talking about the United States is in a precarious position because we haven't developed, and whether you prefer, dislike, I'll get off on a tangent here, but nuclear power. Well, other countries that don't care about the potential repercussions of, and some people say it's by far the safest and blah, 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 except when there is a calamity, and those are easy to avoid if you properly manage it, but other countries have built hundreds of nuclear plants, and we haven't. So this AI stuff requires a ton of power. So it could be
It does.
Could be a issue here for the United States going forward. But in the interim, as a matter of owning a house, running a business, that's where you come in, and you're talking to people about the different levels of what breakers should be necessary. Tell me about what it is. You become an advisor when you're in consulting somebody?
Yeah, most of the time it's a simple service call turned into an estimate, which, you know, we do the free estimates, but we'll go out there and advise the customer. We sit with the customer, talk with the customer, however they want it, and we get with them and ask them what they're really looking for. We give them all the options. We lay it on the table, and then we see if that certain ones, if they can afford it, you know, even if they can't afford it, we give them the options of which ones they want. You know, we try to never upsell anything, but we give the customer the ultimate option of all the things that are on the table that they could do.
Yeah, it's literally like electricity. Tell me if I'm going back too far here, but this series versus parallel. Those two different types of circuits, kind of.
Yeah, that's
real
no,
basic.
they're still here. You know,
Okay.
we deal with a lot of those in the communication side of things with batteries and power plants that back up your systems.
Okay.
But most of right now in your average home, most of all your General Electric that we deal with is going to be primarily parallel circuits until we get into the intricate things of programmable stuff.
Yeah, that's where essentially like a series circuit was a series of bulbs, and if one of those goes out, then the whole circuit's down.
Correct.
Right? But if it's parallel, the electricity finds other ways because electricity goes whatever path, and that parallel, I learned a little bit. That was in grade school.
Multiple pass back. Yep.
So electricity will find a way to get that power there, even if this one went out. Okay, so that's why everything now is pretty much parallel.
Yeah. Old school Christmas lights were the worst thing.
They were, that one bulb went
You had
out.
to find that one.
Not fun. And they've worked some way around that. You look at the wires, they kind of just overlap and kind of go back. And
Circuit boards are all in all the new LED stuff, so that you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Interesting. All right, well, that's where we get our level of interest, and I'm always curious about what brings people to where they have this career now. But how long have you actually been in the electrical business? And I know you said 2008.
2008 was our
but you
official
don't-
100% launch into
Okay.
100% focusing on Wolff Electrical Services. But right out of high school, I was in the trade and working on that, taking care of business.
And then literally getting into the matter of here's how we run electricity. Here's the circuits and that's was there a switch time? We said I'm making a full-time business. Are we already in business?
It was. I was.
secondary?
I was doing it. You know, kind of what a lot of people say on the side,
Right.
which is fine. I mean, I was learning, but I was also working, and I was doing a lot of other things, and I was really trying to focus if this is 100% what I want to do. You know, because there were so many different options when I was growing up. It was you're an electrician, you're residential, you're commercial, or industrial. Well, by the time I got out of school and started getting, I got with another company, and that exploded into the communication side of things, which exploded into different avenues, which is like, wow.
Yeah, and then low voltage and everything else, because people don't realize even an alarm that goes with a wire to the doorbell, there's an electrical current going through. It's just a lower voltage current. It's transmitting.
Yeah, back in the day, it was just a phone or a coax cable. Now it is so much more inside your home than just that.
Yeah, that's why you need experts for this, everybody. I'm going to have somebody talk about it. Thank you, Eric. What is it about what you do, though, that fuels your passion with regard to this? It's got to be kind of neat to be able to provide somebody that one of the things they need for their own sustenance, right? You can't live without this stuff.
Yeah, it took me a while, but working with a lot of different companies and watching how stuff went and how the businesses ran, I had a big passion of service and taking care of customers' needs, especially in a hard time. You know, not everybody can afford everything all the time, so I made it a point to make sure I could provide affordable electrical to everybody, not just certain zip codes.
I like that strategy too, because there are so many options we have, and I'm a marketing guy by nature, right? With regard to everything I'm doing these days, and there's some people that say only work with the people who have lots of money. Well, I don't like to just help the people with lots of money. As a matter of fact, and there's wonderful people. I know some very wealthy people and work with them, and they are all nice. But when you just feel a little bit more of like I'm getting to really help somebody, for a family who you can tell they're in a situation and they like this electricity doesn't work, then Bobby can't turn on his computer and he can't finish his work for school. I mean, that's kind of neat being able to work in those types of opportunities as well.
Those are the best things. We can go in with a client, and if I can see up front that there's a need, and sometimes we'll just take care of it and not even charge them.
Wow.
So,
Good karma thing coming around there. That is a business strategy. I'm going to announce it right here. But do good things to help other people. We are all so interconnected these days. It is a matter of time that somebody's going to hear about the good thing that you did. I'll make a mention here. It's awkward, but whatever. But there was a guy yesterday. I walk past many people around and outside of Busch Stadium. Not very often. There's one homeless person here and one over there, and they're kind of sporadic, but you do see them periodically. And many times I'd walk past, I was like, what can I do? And most people walk by. But yesterday I felt compelled, and I just walked back, and it was mostly because normally I don't carry cash. But I finally had enough cash from whatever, and I put it in a little folder in my wallet and my rings, and I walked over, and then I went back, and I said, I don't know who noticed this or not. It was interesting. A guy walked by, he goes, "Cardinal Cowboy." And I was like, did he see me do the ring, giving the guy $10 cash? Because I didn't even want to talk about it. But I made sure to mention to that guy, hey, promise me one thing. You won't spend this on any kind of drugs or alcohol. And he looked at me and says, I promise I won't. Now, I don't know what he's actually going to do. But those kinds of things, and like you don't do it, I hope nobody noticed me because I walked past and then came back. But either way, because you do those things, it's going to make a difference for that guy, right? And maybe he'll remember and not necessarily care about what he says about me, but that'll inspire him to go then help other people.
it could be the first step in a change.
Right, and that's what causes this, I call it the vicious spiral, up or down. You've got one or the other in your life. You're always, I'm trying to up as much as I can. There's always downs. It hits you, oh, this didn't happen, this bill didn't get, I entered a credit card number wrong the other day, and I get a call from the hardware store, big national firm, and they said, that payment didn't go through. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I was trying to buy something else. You don't have any credit left. I had a little card with $1,000 on it or something. I bought a $400 something. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Those little mistakes, those little things. But hey, keep on plugging and keep that positive vibe. I love the way that you and I had a great conversation before the show here talking about that's important. And that plays into your business too, to help people. And I think people that do that more often, if they don't make as much money, they're at least happy about what they do. And the money comes too.
Yeah, they see the value up front because it's so tight on the budget.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, that's what we want to emphasize here. Let's go talk a little bit about the reviews. We started talking about those, and I always come back to them. But we're here in the studio. I put up the wide view, so you can see up on the wall up there, Wolff Electrical Services, based out of Wentzville, serving most all of St. Louis on the Missouri side. 746, ladies and gentlemen, 746. I'm going to put this on the wall for everybody to see. Reviews. I'm like, where do I start? I'm going to randomly pick right here. Outstanding service. The price was lower than others I'd received, and installation was clean and professional. I'm very satisfied with the results. We definitely use this company again for future needs. Highly recommend. And I would say, how does that make you feel? But I've got to ask you, how does that make you feel like 746 of those, minus the one that whatever they gave you a 4 or whatever they did? But somebody that
We're not perfect.
and I hate to mention that, but let's just, if you don't have something like that, then I figure you're not in business for very long. You're going to run into people, and you told me a little bit about the story, not to bring that up, but it's just somebody was a little bit off with regard to their expectations and the way they handled you. But 99.9% of the time, you come through like this.
We still to be professional.
And you still handle those people the right way. That's important too. But back to, does that make you feel good? I mean, having this kind of response, how do you think it is you've earned 746 reviews that are an average of a 5.0?
Again, it's not just me, but it goes through the whole company. It's the how I originally platformed the company, my expectations with all the employees. I don't even consider them employees anymore. They're just family, and
Right.
They know my expectations, and they can make their own choices out in the field every day. I mean, they don't have to work. I mean, they don't have to come in, but they do. And they know my servant heart, so they have the same servant hearts. And a lot of those reviews, I play a small part of that, it's my employees out there taking care of business.
I like that. I'm gonna take a note on that one. Eric asked before, "What's the pencil?" That's a big. He just made no nice big pencil right there. I said, "That's for when you make something significant comment." I got to say, take note on that. Servant heart. Can we talk about that for just a second? Because it impacts us outside of our business, but it also is essentially your business is providing a service. But what does the heart part mean? And why does that? Why do you think that's so important?
I figured that out, and I got baptized at 40.
Wow.
In the very beginning, everything was about me and how much I can make and do and this and that. Like I said, I was in the industry, but that industry was tough. And then getting baptized at 40 and finding the way and understanding that it's not all about me, it's about how I serve, and that's where that came from. And I pass that on with my employees. It's, we can do very well at doing what we're doing, or we can do this and trust in this, and I don't have to worry about it.
There you go, because it is something. I was very fortunate to, first off, have parents that were very strict and very much serve other people. They're both educators. But I learned quickly, like, how dependent I was when I went through a coma. And, like, literally, like, if every person that was involved, the EMTs, the police, the fire, everyone that was involved with getting me to the hospital, the nurses, the doctors, I'm just a little blip on the map, and they're just doing what they know to do professionally. Yep. And if any one of them doesn't do their job the right way, I may not be here today. That's a very extreme example from like going through a coma, but literally everything you do, your electrical work you do, people depend on that. They literally, their defibrillator, their heart pacemaker, the things that they charge, medical stuff they have with, all those things people depend on.
From the simple cell phone to the high-end medical device that's keeping you alive,
Very important work that we see people do here, and that's why we want. After investigating, I tell my assistants, please make sure these are reputable people. Right? Look at their history, look at what they do. So we appreciate that, and that's why we wanted to highlight you a little bit here too. So let's do a quick cost analysis. I'm a numbers guy because I jump into numbers. I'm going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, talk to people about how they can save money, but how often they might cut corners and cost themselves. And where does that cost them now? Or do it themselves. I know electrical work is one thing that I try not to do myself at all. Maybe it's to replace an outlet. I have a little bit of time. But beyond that, you got to be really careful. And even that, you have to be careful, obviously. So we'll be back here in just a second, everybody. Stay tuned for some of our fun here that we did out in the community. Check it out. All right, everybody. I've got Jackson now. I hired as my highly priced videographer. We didn't say highly paid. We said highly priced. Come on up here, Jackson. So this is your dad, right?
Yes, sir.
Kevin. A couple things I noticed about Kevin. Awesome jersey he's got on there, right? Another thing really cool. Veteran, everybody. Air Force. And the Army. Served in both. Protecting us, keeping us safe.
Absolutely.
Help us maintain this little thing we like called freedom, where we can go to Cardinal games whenever we want
Whenever you want, walk downtown and have a good time and be safe.
Tell me what you love about when you served in the military, real quick. I'm going to ask you what you love about the Cardinals. Come on up here a little bit, though.
I actually work on military bases pretty much on a weekly basis, and so I love going to the military base and make sure that I do telecommunications, so I want to make sure that we provide the communications that's going to help them perform and do the things they need to do.
That's important.
That's what I want.
That's what I went for grad school thing for. I'm communications. If you can't communicate, nothing else matters.
I agree, 100%.
Thank you for your service there. What do you love about the Cardinals?
What do I love about the Cardinals? Well, they're the best team in the country. They got more fans. It's the greatest thing to come see. I don't care. I've been to New York games. I've been everywhere, and the Cardinals are number one in my opinion.
There's people around the country. I just started off on this little Cardinal Cowboy thing. It's gotten crazy. I got people from around the country like, Cowboy, I saw you here. Lots of great fans out there that have a lot of fun.
They're everywhere.
And the best looking fans in baseball too, right here.
Oh, yeah.
Father and son, you can see
Absolutely.
it right there. You never see your son and Brendan Donovan in the same place at the same time.
That's funny because we've had a lot of people say that about him.
You got to get that bandana hat. All right, everybody. Cardinal Cowboy outside patios. Giddy up.
Boom.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwish was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up!
Well, there you have it, everybody. And we talk about it all the time, our gold experts there and the stuff we get to do in the community. So a lot of fun there we get to engage in. With that, let's talk about that cost analysis. We were touching on that, but what is it? To start the topic, I said, now let's finish it up here after our little break. What is it that literally, what goes into a cost analysis? When somebody's trying to figure out whether to get the electrical job done this way or that way, or the different options and lights and computers, and boy, now I remember when I bought my house, I built my house 20 years ago, and I thought I had enough electrical outlets. But now we've got, every outlet has another extension cord, with one of those electrical cord
power strips,
power strips, right? Yeah, that has 6 more plugs in it. Is that the way the world has gone? Are we too dependent on this? What do people need to think about when they're
a lot of it's gone convenience, but we also we love the customers that we'll sit down with them and see what their plan is, see what their vision is, and we ask them, okay, this is great for right now. What about in the next year or two? Because we know 3 years out it can completely be something different. But for at least this year and the next couple of years, we want to get you set up right so you're not having to spend a ton of money to redo any of this. So.
Okay, yeah, and that goes back into that do it right the first time, a little pre-planning.
Correct.
I think we use that as part of your tagline there, right? Can we say that? The best made planning deserve the best electricians, because it's easy to just say, get some electrical power over here, use a circuit we've got in the wall at 20 amp, 15 amp, but what are you going to be adding to that? Yeah. I've dealt with that in my studio here, everybody. We've got to run electrical cords over, about to get a new air conditioning unit, thanks to our friends at Comfort Air there. And but literally, like, there's so much that goes in because more and more and more and more, and the bill goes up. But how do you more efficiently? How do you plan for that stuff?
That's why we ask a lot of questions up front. Sometimes people get upset because when they call in, they think they're just going to call somebody out to come fix something. But we really want to know: is it just fixing something, or is it long term? Is it, what is the whole plan for that customer, so we can take care of them the best way we can? And just getting a little bit of information up front can prepare either myself or my guys that come out on site to give the best options for the best price. Doing it the first time.
Do it right the first time.
Correct.
Because ultimately, this is we talk about. This is we get out the pencil, everybody. Cheap can get very expensive. you're saving $30 right now to not have that electrical outlet switched out or whatever, but it's going to cost you potentially a big full room replacement or something later or something like
Yeah,
that.
just a simple loose wire because you just maybe didn't understand the instructions of the install just right because you wanted to do it yourself. Could cost you fortunes later because of, again, just a loose wire.
A loose wire, ladies and gentlemen, can cause all kinds of, because you're talking about electricity. I mean, it's just electrical. Obviously, we hear about electrical fires. What percentage of the fires that are out there, would you guess? Do you have any numbers that are caused by electricity when you're talking about a house?
It's hard to tell because you really have to know the source, but my wife always gives me the eye when the news comes on. It says house fire, electrical, and I'm looking and I'm waiting. Sometimes you never get the answer, but a lot of it is, sometimes it's 50-50, but it all depends on product, depends on what it was. Sometimes you never know.
Space heaters are a big source.
During the wintertime, space heaters, that's my big go-to. Space heaters and smoke detectors in the wintertime. Space heaters, read the instructions for them because they're meant to be plugged directly into the wall, into a approved electrical socket, not extension cords, not surge protectors, none of that. If the tag on it even says that, do not do that. And it's for a reason because they draw a lot of energy and they get really hot and the plug gets really hot. And if it's not the right plug, it will melt.
And then you've got other big problems.
Yeah.
It can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah.
What is the biggest mistake that people make when they're doing electrical work? Is it often they try to cut corners or they're trying to save money and are they doing it themselves and then cause
and I have no problem or walking somebody through something on the phone. Again, some of our stuff is 75% of the time people call in. A lot of the upfront personnel understand what questions to ask, and we can work you through of maybe just hitting the button to reset the GFI so we don't have to drive all the way out there and charge you to show up. And some people get they're like, great, I can do that. We'll walk you through that. But some of the things are the simple things that they miss. Because I'm going to be honest, guys don't like to read instructions sometimes. And we just look at pictures and we think it's the right picture. And some of those small little details do matter. And we try to emphasize on the details.
Yeah, and I like your strategy there as we finish up this half hour. We're going to start off with what it is that really sets you guys apart. Second show, tune in for that, everybody. But one extra point that you made there, and is when you actually help somebody over the phone, wait a minute, you're costing yourself business. You could have gone out there and but what happens then, and a lot of people, this is a marketing strategy too, that person now trusts you. Mm-hmm. And so in the future, and for other references, when they refer to, hey, I just made a quick call, Eric took a call over the phone and explained it to me, that you can trust them, and it turns into business later. Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that strategy. Take, right now. No. It's not the best way. Help people, servant's heart. You think that's
correct?
Great strategy. All right, stay tuned for this second half hour. We're going to have quite a bit of good discussion about what it is, technology-wise, that's changed, and a whole lot of other fun stuff that we're going to talk about, and the big challenge that Eric may have been through. Stay tuned for more. This is your little castle show. Giddy up.